Hello and welcome back. I'm Joe Hyde, publisher of San Angelo Live, and today I'm joined with Terry Mikeska, well-known business owner, philanthropist, and food connoisseur.
Food
right?
connoisseur, yeah.
Anyway, Terry, I wanted to have you on the show for a long time because I wanted people to understand your passion for philanthropy. But to get there, I got to ask you some questions.
Sure.
Right?
Go
So
ahead.
when I first met you, you were running a print shop, I guess, Holcomb-Blanton.
Holcomb-Blanton, downtown. Yep.
So you were the proprietor, and you had clients all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Holcomb-Blanton, of course, was going back in, since 1907 that they've been in San Angelo.
Right.
Mr. Holcomb, Mr. Blanton. And so they've been around a long time, but they were the printery, in San Angelo and office supply store.
Yeah. And today, that Holcomb-Blanton building is 01 Ale House.
01 Ale House, yes. Yeah, Eric Zobel, he's running 01 Ale House and doing a fabulous job.
And part of the Holcomb-Blanton period era, and probably even to today, you were downtown building. You had downtown buildings that you invested in?
Yeah, I had other building downtown as well. And so I was always, I can't sit down. I'm always having to do something.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so anyway, my ears are always open and looking for what opportunities do we need in San Angelo? What could we use? And that's how a lot of that started back in my days when we didn't have a limousine in town, and I started a limo. We didn't have a
San
Bridal.
Angelo Limousine still
Well, San
operating?
Angelo Limousine still operates by James Pettit, and he operates the limousine. And then, in 1992, I think, or 91, I started this San Angelo Bridal Shows, West
Right.
Texas
And that's
Bridal
still going
Showcase.
on?
And that's still going on.
Right.
James operates and runs that as well with the Bridal Shows.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was, interesting.
So the other piece of your history is, and people may not know this, but if you're a graduate or if you're going or your kids are going to Central High School, you're familiar with the Tucker Building, right?
Yes.
The Tucker
Yeah.
Building. And that's named after Miss Eva Tucker.
Eva Communius Tucker.
So give me a you are now I guess the head of the Eva Tucker Foundation.
Well, I'm the president of the Eva Tucker Foundation and a trustee of the foundation.
Okay.
And that started.
Tell me the Eva Tucker story. Just give me a synopsis.
Well, I'm going to give you a real, because I can talk for days about that.
Right.
But it was back around, I guess, 1985 when American Airlines opened up in San Angelo, and I just got out of Wall High School graduating, and I thought, man, I saw an ad in the newspaper. They're hiring. And I thought, someday I just want to travel. I want to travel. And
So you're going to go work for a big airline.
so I go work for a big airline. So I go to the library, learn how to do a resume, learn how to do interview and eye contact and everything. And I'll be darned if they didn't call me back at home on the second call. And I went up there and they said, "You're hired, but you're the youngest one we hired. So there will be 7 of us."
So this one of the things I've known about you. I've known you for 20 years, but you're always prepared in a service-oriented way. And I'm going to give you a story, okay? The San Angelo Limousine thing, Randy Coleman bought that for a while. He ran it for a while. And one New Year's Eve, we decided that we were going to give free limo rides between the bars.
Right.
So and so, I mean, Randy's driving this big truck. I think it was the Desiree's limo. He had just bought it. But it was kind of funny. And we were transporting people like from the Steel Penny to Blaine's and to Shenanigans, that kind of thing. And you were driving, and you dressed up in a tux. I mean, you dressed up.
Well, yeah. Well, I played piano too my whole life.
Right.
So, I mean, let's see, how many years have I played now? 41 years. I've been playing piano since I was 16, right when Bentwood Country Club opened in the late 70s, early 80s, and Sac and Midland Country, and you name it. Fred Griffin at FL's Bar and Grill, 1980, 6 and 7.
Fred Griffin owned the bar.
He owned FL's Bar and Grill.
Oh, wow.
It was one of the elite, I would say, 5-star restaurants.
Okay.
FL's Bar
Where
and
was it
Grill.
located?
Well, right next to the registry.
Okay.
Which is now the Italian place.
Ah, okay.
Yes,
So Luigi's used to be FL Bar and Grill.
But that was the original FL's Bar and Grill. I mean, the interior and design and everything. And that's mainly how I started meeting all the who's who.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't really even know who Fred was.
And so, are you still a flight attendant?
Well, I'm still working for American Airlines, which is how I met Eva Tucker, because
Okay.
she lost her bags coming from the Holy Lands with a group of priests
What
and
year was
bishops.
this?
85.
85.
85.
So right when you got on, you met Eva Tucker.
Yes, yeah, it wasn't too long, and that's why I dealt with it, because I was one of the younger ones, and they always pushed me and said, "Look, you deal with lost baggage. You go deal with the bag claims."
Right.
And it was old school back then. I mean, we had a piece of paper, fill it out, turn it around, say, what does it look like?
Right.
Pick out one of these and
You
circle
didn't just take
it.
out a phone
Right.
and take a picture.
And then you get on the system, which is the Sabre system back
Right.
then, and go put it in. Well, instead of her one bag not coming to SJT, it went to SJU. It went to San Juan. So I found it, but it was ready on the flight coming back to Dallas. So
Okay.
I thought, well, it'll be here on, because, back then we had like 6-7 flights a day. They were just those small 17 passenger planes.
Right.
But I mean, they were just on. And when you work for American Eagle, American Airlines, you do everything. I mean,
Right.
you direct the planes. I mean,
You're out on the tarmac in the hot weather.
in the tarmac, you're driving the tractor, you're making the boarding announcement, which is to this day, I mean, once we talk about it going to Nepal, it's why I get a lot of my extra baggage comped,
I got you.
because I had them rolling on the floor when I started. I know that extra baggage, can cost a lot.
Right.
But when I went to the airport and said, "Who's the general manager now at American? Does he even live here? I mean,
Right.
where is he?" And so
You mean here in town?
here in San Angelo, yes.
So you're working little side deals with Americans, guy?
Well, no, but I have to say this is. I'm now jumping way ahead about some stuff I'm doing now in Nepal. But yeah, with American Airlines, I have to tell you, now let me tell you, this was 1985? To this day, I still remember the very first boarding call in flight. American Airlines, American Eagle Flight 1730 is now ready for passenger boarding through gate number 1. Please distinguish all your smoking material and have your boarding pass ready at the gate for the agent inspection. We want to thank you for flying American Eagle and have a pleasant day. Oh, and we had to go outside, had the little microphones where we
Right,
would call
right.
the incoming flights.
Right.
We didn't have the luxury like we have now.
With the new terminal?
Yeah, we didn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So we did everything: bags, booking, refunds. I mean, lost baggage, doing the planes, everything.
All right, so back to Eva Tucker.
So
You got
back
her-
to Eva Tucker.
You got her bags.
So I got her bags. I found her bags, and that's how it started, because I took that.
And where
course-
did Eva Tucker live? A lot of people don't even know
Well,
that.
where she lived, and it took me a while to kind of find it. Because, back then we just had a phone book with a reference page to kind of see where these streets are,
Right,
We
right. You didn't
no
have
cell
Google
phone.
Maps.
No, didn't have any of that. So she lived on, back then was called Randolph Street and 14th, which is now Martin Luther King
In 14.
and 14th.
Okay.
But back then it was Randolph. And she lost her bag, and the bag finally came. It had a little cargo grease. I cleaned it up and everything. And of course, I did what I shouldn't have done. I gave her the number to the ticket counter, but she just begged me for the number. So I gave her the number, and she was calling. I said, "Okay, Mrs. Tucker." So I finally, when the bag came, I called her. I said, "Your bag came, and I'm going to take it to Hertz Rental Car. They'll deliver it." And she was so excited. And so anyway, I took it to Hertz, and when I took it there, he said, "Terry, I'm the only one here tonight. I've got the other flight coming in with some rentals, so I can't deliver that late. I'll do it first thing in the morning." And I was devastated, because Miss Tucker kept calling. And I told her, the bag finally came. It'll be there. And she was so excited and so happy. And then I thought, well,
So basically you got delayed, did you take it on yourself?
No, I, which have not told anybody yet, but I went there and got the bag.
Really, that night?
That night when I got off, it was my time to get off. And I said, "Man, I got to take this lady her bag. I promised her bag was coming."
Today. You said today.
Yes, that evening. And it was before 9 o'clock, and so I wasn't doing the late incoming flights. And so I just picked it up, and I thought, wow, I'm just, for some reason, I got to take this lady her bag.
All right, so you load the bag up.
So I
in your
load
car?
the bag and I take it and I say goodbye to the airport thinking I am going to lose my job over this because we're not supposed to do this.
Right.
But this lady just
Well, you made the promise.
convinced me into promise to get her bag. So I took her that bag and I couldn't find it. I mean, I was going back and forth down Randolph Street and
couldn't
her
find the
house
house?
is on the corner. So, she has an address like 1414 Martin Luther King or 230 West 14th. So she had two addresses.
Right,
so I
right.
was trying to find this house and I pull up and see this fence and chickens up in the tree.
Okay.
But I see this big old Cadillac parked under the mesquite tree. But right when I pulled up, I said to myself, I said, there's no way. This lady does not live here.
Right.
The way she was dressed and her jewel, diamonds, watch, she doesn't live here. A bunch of chickens in the tree.
Right.
And she had very nice luggage.
Okay.
And so I thought, man, I'm going to have to go to a payphone down at the laundromat.
No cell phones back
Yes,
then.
I was going to go. I had a quarter. I was going to go, and I knew I was going to have to call, but I'm going to go through this gate. I went through the gate. I knocked on the door. No one answered. I went around the other side, knocked on the door. No one answered. I went back around, knocked again on the door, and I saw a light flicker on. And here she came in her house coat to the door and said, "Oh, you found my bag." I said, "Well, Miss Tucker, yes, I have your bag, and I know Hertz was supposed to deliver it, but they can't deliver tonight. And I already promised you your bag will be safe and will be delivered." And so I said, "I am not supposed to do this, but I wanted to bring you your bag." And she tried to tip me, and I said, no, please, no. I just a little worried about my job. She said, "If you have any problems tomorrow with your job, you call me first thing. First thing." And of course, in my head, I'm thinking,
And what is she going to do for me?
who is this lady with a bunch of chickens in this tree?
And a
But
Cadillac.
a Cadillac Seville under the tree,
Right.
under the mesquite tree. And I kept thinking, but I don't say nothing. I just said, "Okay, Miss Tucker, I'll let you know if I have any problem." And then she just started talking, "Well, what else do you do?" And I said, "Well, I play piano, and I'm playing at the Sheraton Hotel that, down on where the Clarion or Red Line is now."
Right.
It
It's
was
the
brand
Clarion.
new.
Clarion.
Yeah, Clarion.
Yeah.
And, it was brand new. We had Sunday brunch. BJ Yulchek was the manager there, had that black piano. And, it was the...
And that piano's still there.
It is still there because I just had it tuned last year because I played for the new owner.
Oh, right.
Yes, and they had the social event there. But no, it's
That
still
was
the same.
Sam
Yes.
Miarki.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And Scott Zaruba was there.
Zaruba,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've known Scott for a long time.
He's upgraded.
Because I played for his wedding.
Yeah, Scott's upgraded from the end of the conchos to the Clarion.
Yeah,
end.
to the Clarion Inn from the end of the Contras. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that's all right. I told her I was playing there for Sunday brunch, and I'm playing for another man that opened up a restaurant, Fred Griffin, and she goes, "Oh, you play for Fred?" Well, I know Fred, and I've been meaning to go over there. And she goes, "So I'll be seeing you at the restaurant." And so she asked me again, she goes, "I've been gone to the Holy Lands for a long time. There's a little store up here, and it's called M System. Do you mind getting me just a few items?" I said, "No, I'm okay. I'll go get you
So
a few items."
this is why you
Yes.
just handed the bags over, and now she's giving you another mission.
So now she's giving me, $20 to go to M System and get her a few items and that because she's been gone a while. So I went, I took it to her, and she tried to tip me again, and I said, no, Miss Tucker, I would not accept no tip.
So fast forward, you
So
became
fast
her aide.
forward, she started coming to where I was playing the piano all the time, and she would use the little request cards on the table and put her little songs, Spanish Eyes and Green Eyes and other little songs.
Did you know
that she
how to
liked.
play them when you first saw them?
Well, I knew Spanish Eyes.
Uh-huh.
At the time, I didn't know the one called Green Eyes, but I always learned them. I just had to try to listen to them so I
Did
could
you have
play
to
them.
tell her, Miss Tucker, I don't know. I mean, like, the Ram
No,
band,
yes.
this weekend in Italy. They
Yes, I saw
and the
that.
first thing they play is "Fat Bottom Girls"
Oh,
by
wow.
Queen. But I thought that was hilarious, and of course, no one else thought that was hilarious. But I mean, here they are. They
Yeah.
went all the way to Rome, Italy, to play "Fat Bottom Girls." But anyway,
Well,
so did you
Yeah,
learn?
I did. I learned the songs, and
Did you have to tell them I don't know the songs?
Well, yeah. I mean, Fred Griffin always said, "Look, you're going to play here, and you're going to meet a lot of people."
Right.
And I was still learning who Fred was. I didn't know he's like this renowned interior decorator that does all these houses.
Yeah.
But I mean, what came out of all this, is that yes, Fred knew a lot of people, and it was very busy. And I mean, I started meeting what you would call so many of the who's.
So you started working up the good old boy circuit.
Yeah,
Is that what you did? I
so
understand.
I started, I told Miss Tucker on one of her note cards one time, she said, come and see me before you get done with the piano, and she had always had the waiter come put it on the piano and put $1, $5. That's a lot of money. Even back then. I mean, a dollar was a lot of money.
So here's the dollar conversion. 1928, $1 is worth 10 times that today. So $1 in 1920 is worth $10. So you were probably, if you're getting dollar tips, you're probably at least getting $2 or $3.
But I have to say, working at FL's
15.
Bar and Grill for Fred, it was 5, 10s, and 20s.
Wow. So
And some
20
50s.
a 20 would be like a $40.
Oh, that
tip.
would just blow my mind. Yeah. But I was happy with anything. I mean, I'm just very happy. I mean, just that I could play their songs and know their songs.
Eventually, this became more of a formal.
Yeah,
formal
so
thing?
it really became more of a thing where, yes, when she wrote on there and said, come visit me again, I thought, okay, well, I have Sunday afternoon off because I'm working every day because I love working. And so I was working at the airport, playing at night, working on Sundays. I mean, just all the time. So I went to go see her, and she said, that's when she first started telling me, Terry, I was married to Art Tucker, and he died in 1975, and my one brother, Noe, died in 1976, and Art and I never had any children. And I always got many things to do, and errands, and letters, and things to deliver, and you can see I have a little yard here. My grass needs cut, and I have the lot I own on the other side of the alley. That needs cut, and so would you come sometime just to see me and maybe just help me a little bit, just when you have some free time? And I said, yeah, Miss Tucker, I'll come by. And of course, I lost both of my grandparents, and grandma and grandpas on both sides. And,
So this is kind of like y'all both had emotional needs
yeah,
for each other.
so I just started coming to help her, and she would just have a list for me, and if I had
Would she
a day,
pay you, or would you? accept
well,
money?
yeah, I mean, she
Eventually
would
it became
$10, $20, $5, $10, or put a little gas in my car or something. I mean, I mean, she didn't have to pay me anything, but I mean, I enjoyed doing
But
it.
you're a coordinator. Did you learn that you had some organizational skills? Could you hire like a guy to come do the lawn?
Well, I could, but see, I was raised in Wall, Texas on a farm.
Right.
I mean, I was chopping weeds in the cotton patch with my cousins
Right.
when we were kids,
Cotton
I
chopping.
mean, my form of playing when I was little was my chopping hoe, my water hose, and my dog in the mud.
So you were doing everything. You were doing everything.
Yeah, so I did everything. I would help her with everything.
All right, so let's stop right there. Stop right there. Who was Eva Tucker? Why did she have all this money? And she kind of you would say, I mean, I'm just saying the perception is she's this recluse that lived at 14th Street at Randolph, or now MLK,
Right.
and she had a lot of money.
Well, and you wouldn't know it from how she lived, but that was her house growing up, her mama and daddy's house, and her husband, Art Tucker, they were in the refining business.
That's oil and gas.
Yes, that was in Luders, Texas, outside of Abilene. So they had the refinery. And they also had an asphalt company in Big Springs. And, Eva would manage the refinery office. And, of course, Art Tucker would just buy her a new car, and it was hard for her to get him. She was Catholic, and she loved going to Catholic church in Abilene and in San Angelo and Sacred Heart and St. Mary's, and so she would always come to mass and come to church. But he was one of those. She said, he was 7 days a week. I mean, working in the refinery and smoking his cigars And, you know, he worked back in the day digging ditches and stuff like that with the other huge philanthropist in this town, Frank Poole.
Okay.
You know,
Who's an Aggie?
yes,
He's an Aggie.
Frank Poole. And I love Frank. You know, I played for his big parties for his employees at the Coliseum.
So all this is so connected. You know, how everything.
It is how everything just kind of connected because, you know. So I started helping Miss Tucker, and it became more and more and more and more and more. And she started giving me more things to do. You know, well, I want you to go deliver this. Well, you need.
Did you ever go up to Abilene to the refinery and?
Yes, she would send me up there, and she would go with me. Sometimes we would go up to Luders, Texas, and she would show me the little house where she lived in that she still had.
Anyway, so Eva Tucker, or she and her husband started these businesses, and she didn't have any. She had lots of money. And so she started doing. She gave money away when she was alive.
What has happened is when her husband died, got really sick, and he died in 1975. You know, he was very, very in his life. He was constantly invested in. You know, before it was even ExxonMobil, you know, it was Standard Oil of New Jersey, Standard Oil of California, Exxon, you know, and then all the mergers, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Texaco. I mean, you just on and on and on. And he just developed a very large portfolio.
Don't forget Enco.
Oh, Enco.
So it went from Enco to Exxon.
To Exxon, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, but he had all the. So she had a portfolio of stocks.
And he just told her at the bedside, says, "Do the most good for the most people. You know, do the most good for the most people."
And this is in 1975. 75.
And so she did. I mean, you know, it was very difficult for her because she said when he died, you know, dealing with taxes and everything else and trying to...
And being a woman back in 1975. I mean, think about...
Well, you know...
The doors aren't always open for you.
And you have to remember, she lived the days when it would say no blacks or Hispanics allowed.
Right.
You know, it wasn't until she married...
And she was a Hispanic woman.
Yeah, she was a Hispanic woman. So it wasn't until she married Art Tucker that she said she could dress proudly. She could put on her heels with him and walk into a restaurant.
And no one would say a word.
And no one would say a word, you see? So she would tell me about all those stories that she lived.
So what kind of projects, when she was living, did she invest in?
Well, her very first giving project was she wanted to do something in memory of her brother Noe, because he was a teacher and he was an educator.
Was he a teacher here in San Angelo?
In San Antonio.
In
San Antonio. So... I don't know I'd have to look it up on the exact year. It would have been in the late 70s or 80s.
Early 80s.
She decided to present her first, and I think it was $25,000 check to Fort Concho.
Okay.
She really loved Fort Concho, and she wanted to do it in his memory. So that was one of her very first donations.
What did they do with the $25,000? Just went into their endowment?
Yes, I mean, she gave it to them and told them to use it however they wished to use it. And
of course, in 1980, $25,000 was about $50,000, $60,000.
So. And so, you know, all through those years, she just started, you know, she would watch news constantly. That's really all she would watch on TV. It was either different news channels or mass.
You know, the sad thing about that is back in the 80s, there was no Fox News.
Yeah. But, you know, she had Boston Catholic Network and she had St. Anne's Media, so she watched Catholic Mass twice a day and then the news. And, I could tell you some funny stories. But anyway.
So she is invested in education.
Yes.
How did the Eva Tucker building at Central, since that's probably what most people see today, how did that come about?
Because she also was a teacher in her younger days. She was a teacher. She taught in Ballinger.
Okay.
And in Mertzen.
Okay.
And so it was, you know, during those days that she would teach where you had many different ages and grades, you know, in a classroom. And so she was very always involved in education. She loved education. And so anything, you know, if schools needed something, she's the one that helped with getting the up and coming scholars program with Angelo State University.
Right.
You know, she
And these are the building block years of
yes,
ASU.
yeah,
You know,
yes.
that's kind of set it on. You know, today I would say ASU's on a growth spurt.
Yes.
And but they laid the foundation in the 80s
Yes.
and 90s for all this.
Well, and Dr. Chase, when you should be very dear friends of Eva. In fact, he was my doctor when I was a little baby. But you know, that's when they talked about the West Texas collection.
Right.
And of course, Eva was, let's do it. I mean, you know, let's do the West Texas collection. And of
All right,
course,
so I still got to get back to the Central
Okay.
High School thing. Did that come? The money for that, did that come from after she passed?
it did not.
It
It
did
did
not?
not. You know, everyone knew Miss Tucker. And of course, many of her dear friends, such as Max Parker, that was on the school board, you know, for forever. He was very dear friends of Eva. And it was after Eva passed away that we got a letter from San Angelo ISD that asked if they could do a sculpture of her.
This is to the foundation.
Yes, to the
Okay.
foundation, if they could do a sculpture of her.
And this is post 2008 bond, I assume.
I think so. Yeah. And, you know, we were looking at this and thought, you know, they're not asking for anything. So I had to kind of verify this situation with the sculpture and naming the building. And really, no. I mean, San Angelo ISD and the school board, it was not going to cost the foundation anything. They wanted to do this in her memory. They
Really?
wanted to name the building. So the
So do you-
foundation
so
paid nothing for that.
I am a muckraker news guy, so I have to ask the question: do you think they were trying to get around getting the criticism of the copper roof?
The copper roof.
You know, the copper roof.
Well, you know what? Eva's the one that helped build the roof thing at the,
At the
not the
visitor
roof
center?
the same, no, but with
the
Howard
museum?
Taylor at the museum.
The museum.
Yes.
That was kind of that and the visitor center were kind of the start of this copper
Yes.
roof thing, right?
Well, her and Mamie Daniels were very good friends,
Right.
you know. And so I remember when Howard, and of course she loved the museum and symphony and all that. And I remember when she called Mamie Daniels and said, do you want to do that balcony thing? Let's do the balcony thing. You know, well, yeah, let's do that. Well, how much would it cost? Well, I don't know, maybe $250,000 a piece or something. I remember because
You know, Terry, all these amounts that you throw out for the '90s and the early 2000s, you know, $250,000. Today it's like $3 million. you
Well,
know?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I remember when she said, well, you know, you need to go grab a check, you know, because we're meeting at a restaurant, had something to do with the ASU thing and all that and the up-and-coming scholars. And, you know, I never would forget. I mean, she was teaching me very early and young, as she always wanted me to go deliver this, deliver that, you know, meet her. You know, I remember like Marion Scott, he's no longer here, but he was Payne Weber. I mean, he called her Queen Eva.
right.
You know, she took me to her bank board meetings. She took me to her Exxon meetings in Dallas at the Meyerson Center. I mean, so, you know, all this time I kept thinking, what is this lady? You know, at the beginning, I thought I was just delivering letters. When I was younger, I thought, man, she writes a lot. But it really wasn't. It was donations.
Checks.
And I mean, I was going out to Boys Ranch and Sammy Rupek at Concho Valley Home for the Girls, and the shelter, the museum, the symphony, the cultural affairs, you know,
right,
Howard
so
Taylor. So it just on and on and on.
When did Eva Tucker pass away?
She passed away 16 and a half years ago this month.
Wow.
So that's how long she has been gone. And, you know, it was the very same thing. Every wish she had happened. She wanted to pass in her mother's home. She started slowly giving things from her home to different, you know,
Mementos.
friends and mementos,
Right.
and especially a lot of the Catholic stuff that she had there that she wanted someone to be a part of and have some of it. And, you know, and you know, and that was a big thing, you know, going to the big Catholic conventions every year. There was just a few in this town that were part of some of those very huge, you know, Equestrian Order of Holy Sepulchre, huge conventions.
Right.
And, you know, I was learning about all that because I went to Wall Brethren Church, you know, growing up as a kid.
You didn't go to St. Ambrose? What the heck?
Oh, I went to San Angelo because I all went to school. We all went to school together at Wall High School. So yes, the dances at St. Ambrose.
I bet you Commissioner Holscher was
yes.
handing out the turkey and dressing.
I grew up with St. Ambrose, and we were all like family, and we still are to this day. But
all right, so Eva Tucker passes away. She leaves a sizable corpus.
She leaves a foundation and she already started the foundation while she was living.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of her very dear friends, I have to say, Tilly Chandler was a very dear friend. Karen Pfluger, a very dear friend of Eva. And it was, you know, back then in the 80s that they were talking to Eva about, you know, maybe, you know, you should do a foundation. You know, you can just kind of start it small and put into it.
And it can live past your life, basically.
Yeah, right. Because even at that time, too, you know, I guess it was 25, 30 years ago, you know, even Area Foundation and that talked to her and she loved all of them because Tilly was working and helping with the Area Foundation with Matt Lewis and all them. And Eva said, I think I just want to have my own foundation. But she said, you know, I don't want an office. I don't want no paid staff.
She wants all the money to go to where it needs.
Make it simple. She always said, Terry, how about, you know, twice a year? And she worked with her very dear attorney, Jim Carter and Max Parker and them. And she said, you know, just how about distribution, you know, a couple times a year and just, you know, give it all away, you know, keep my money kind of local here. And you know who I like to give to? Because she goes, now do you know why for 23 years I made you write out my checks for me? So I made you deliver.
So you knew who
I made you do all of that every month. There was a reason for that.
So you know who she
always
likes.
Used to tell me and everyone else in town, she used to say, you're the son I never had. And I just kept doing more. I mean, you know what? She was trying to teach me how to roll her hair and dip the curlers in the water.
I think I would have stopped right there.
I rolled her hair. I mean, I'm just telling you. And she was very dear friend of Philip Templeton, too. You know, Lee Pfluger, Steve Stevens, all of them, you know, that would come and see her and she would ask, you know, I need your opinion. Let's talk about this project, you know.
So she was giving you checks.
She was.
And you deliver them so you knew who she was
because she
donating to.
wanted me to meet the who's who. Because she said, you know, this is going to open doors for you, not only with your plan later in life, but Holcomb-Blanton, which you're printing, you know.
Right.
I mean, your Limousine company.
Right.
I mean, you're going to see how it's all going to transform. And so, yeah, I mean, back then, I mean, I was kind of like, oh my God, you know, it was not letters she was writing. I was delivering.
You're in your 20s and 30s
delivering checks ever worse. And that's how I got to learn who everybody is, you know. So between her and playing for Fred Griffin and then starting to play at all these ranches and places and then governors like Bush when he's running for governor. I mean, you know, you got, you know, Eva's other dear friend, you know, Drew Darby and them. Next thing, ooh, Terry, you got to play, you know. And Eva would always say, you know, well, go take him a check, you know, go take him a check for these, you know.
Right. All right, so let's fast forward. You right now sit on the board of directors for the Eva Tucker Foundation, which handles that large corpus of money.
Yes, and we give it away.
What type of, you know, I guess you have giving away, you still meet and give things away once or twice a year?
Yes.
What type of projects, if I'm a nonprofit director or something, what type of projects are you looking for as, I guess, the guardian of, or the shepherd of this thing?
You know, Eva always loved the nonprofits that involved children and education and, you know, the shelters and facilities being built. I mean, even like we helped with the drug and alcohol center that they built out there, and you know,
which by the way, I think the ADAC, that's what they call it, the Alcohol Drug Abuse Council of Concho Valley. I think that was probably the most well-spent nonprofit money ever, because you think about the liability on that jail when you had all these people in there drying out from their heroin, you know, the heroin addictions and things. And you know, drug addiction is the biggest problem we have in this town. I mean, if you look at there's been 9 murders,
Right.
except for the one that happened the other night, like 2 days ago. They're all involved. This is interesting.
Yes.
They all involve marijuana. You know, they don't involve cocaine or meth. It's marijuana that's killing people. But I know we want to legalize it, but I go off on my soapbox a little bit. But it's so important, I think, to give people that chance, because once you get addicted to something, you're addicted.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing to get over and to become productive in society. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And I didn't mean to.
And it's something that I just know Eva would have done, because when people had issues like that and problems, she would say, "How could I help?" Right. And that's why she got very involved with oh gosh, now my mind's going blank. It was back then in the Village Shopping Center right next door to you here. It was called the Samaritan Pastoral Counseling.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Pastoral. It was counseling. And she heard about them, and they came to visit her. And she said, like she always does, "How could I help you? How could I help you?" So I remember she gave them a check for like $10,000, and she just kept hearing more and more good and more and more good and more and more good that they were doing. And I remember then the next year she said, "Go take them another 10,000." You know, and so she loved hearing the stories of them helping people in need of counseling, and whether it was marriage or
this is kind of what you're looking for as the director or as on the board for the Eva Tucker Foundation. Is you're looking for projects that improve the community, primarily go after the people who are less they're I guess they're not at an advantage. They have something, either a drug affliction or they're just dirt poor. Right. Those kind of education. Kids.
Yes. And you know, Eva loved, you know, all the you know, in the community, like the symphony, the cultural fairs, the museum.
You mean the arts?
Yes, she loved the arts, which is why I had so many tuxedos, not only for playing the piano.
How many tuxedos do you have?
Well, at one time I had 8 tuxedos.
My God.
But, you know, I have to say, back in the 80s, what was popular? Yeah. The tails.
The tails. Yeah. Now if you wear tails.
See, when I worked at FL's Bar and Grill, I had different sharkskin gray, black, I mean, burgundy tails.
Yeah. So you still have them?
I don't have any tails left, but I still think I have one of the ruffles.
Do you still fit it?
You know, the ruffles?
That's my problem.
Oh, no. No, I have just different regular tuxes right now. I did have a white jacket, and of course I worked on cruise ships, and sometimes, you know, those can be white jackets.
All right, so you learned all these years
from
Eva. She mentored you on being a good philanthropist. Okay, that's what I'm getting from this.
Right.
And so you kind of put your own stamp on philanthropy a couple years, probably about 10 years ago. You started the Terry Mikeska Foundation.
Well, yeah, that started about 7 years ago.
7 years ago. Okay.
But you know, that was another thing when you know, when Eva said, "Look, I'm going to have a foundation, but I don't want the foundation that's going to take someone's time every day of the week with an office and a staff."
Right.
So let's set some distribution times twice a year, which it's never changed. It's April 1st and October 1st are the 2 deadlines every year. So anyone, you know, can go to evatucker.com and just a little kind of form of stuff they have to submit. But those are the 2 deadlines, and that has never changed. And she said, let's keep it simple so you can go. Because she always kind of felt, I took so much time of your life, you know. And I said, "No, Miss Tucker, you didn't. I have learned so much."
I think you could put it another way.
I mean, how many people are going to go to an ExxonMobil meeting as many times as you do and gets to park underground with the VIPs? Because we go in the front in Dallas and you see them protesting, killing the tigers and this and that. And I said, "Eva, I can't let you off here. I would drive in those protests." And
but you had the experience. She gave
me the experience in that, and she goes, "Go and travel." Well, I did. I started traveling and playing in different places, and kind of, you know, somewhat in a depression after she died. I kept thinking, wow.
You just got.
I mean, when you go every day to feed chickens and read the newspaper and read the stocks from
Terry, you just got old and your homing device came on. You said, "I'm not going to travel anymore. I'm going to stay right here." But
So,
how did you come up with the idea for the Terry Mikeska
well, the
Foundation?
Terry Mikeska Foundation was, I was on my computer one day and just on my regular laptop and there on social media, and I had a little thing come up that said hello. It said HELO, and I thought, junk, delete. And go in there, another hello. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I'm kind of mad. I'm sitting there. HELLO, that's how you spell hello. Boom.
You sent that back?
And I sent it back. So I'm waiting a little later, and it comes back again, hello, properly.
With 2 L's?
And how, are you? Well, come to find out, I started talking with this individual that said they're from Nepal. And
You think they were real?
well,
you hear about all these scams online.
Well, that was the first thing that went through my head
Right.
for many weeks.
Right.
But, this is the funny thing. His name was Sujan. He had a brother, Rajan. They lived with their grandma and grandpa and their mother and father. So like in those countries, they all lived together. Worked in the rice field their whole life. Went to a little school in their village. And so after about 6 months of talking to this person, I was just trying to find someone to talk to in the U.S., and why they landed on me, I have no idea. Because they had to go to the little library in the village just to get some internet to use the little computer, And so after about 6 months, I thought to myself, this person has never asked me for nothing, never asked me for anything.
Because you would think they would want your bank account number
First
right
thing
away.
I kept thinking, well, as soon as he starts asking for the credit card and all that, boom, they're blocked.
Yeah.
But after 6 months passed, that wasn't the case. And I got to know more and more. And then, of course, back then we went on Skype, and I got to see grandfather and grandmother and the little place they lived in the rice field with their cow and their goats.
And stop right there. Where is Nepal?
Nepal is absolutely on the opposite side of the world. It is between, big India and then little Nepal, and then you got China.
Okay.
Of course, China has to go over the Himalayas
To get
to Nepal.
So Nepal's in the Indian Ocean, is that right?
Well, it doesn't touch the ocean. No, it's right between China and India. Those countries are so mega huge.
They're huge.
Well, no, and I'm the same way. I had to go back because it's been too long since I've been in school. I had to.
You've been looking at the map?
I had to look on a map and Google it and say, so where is Nepal? And I hear about it, and I keep thinking.
So you could fly into Burma, or I don't even know what Burma is today.
Well,
Thailand, Burma, then Nepal.
Well, you can, but there are direct flights where you can, of course, from here to Dallas. So you can go east or west. You can go west on American to Hong Kong, and then you could take Dragon Air 7.5 hours to Kathmandu in Nepal. They were recently bought out by Cathay Pacific, so it's now Cathay Pacific.
Right.
I usually don't go that way because I use miles to fly, and of course those are popular once-a-day flights to Hong Kong, and they're hard to grab those mile seats. Now, what's easier to go is going Middle East, because a lot of people don't want to go to the Middle East. Well, I could care less.
You go to Dubai?
Well, you could, but with the American partners, the American partners, you can either...
You're like your own little saver system over there.
Yes. Well, and all that travel came back in my head. I thought, well, we don't use those luggage tags anymore, but these city codes are coming back in my head. Qatar, okay, so, we got Doha, and then you could take Etihad Airlines and go to Abu Dhabi. So those were the two partners with American Airlines.
Right.
And so...
So when you get over there in the Middle East, do you ever fly on an airplane with, like, livestock on it?
Well... No, I mean I have seen them put some goats and stuff on some of these planes.
Are they in the passenger section?
Huh? No, I have not seen that. But I have seen them on the buses. On the buses, they will bring their goats on the bus.
Okay. All right.
No,
All right.
I've
so
seen.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit because we're getting running a little close. In Nepal, what is the need?
Well, that's the whole thing. So I decided to send a little money of $100. I said, go in the village. Do y'all have this logo or this logo? Which was Western Union and MoneyGram. I said, it says you have them in these villages, but I don't know. And so I sent them a little money. I sent the little two brothers to Kathmandu, and I helped them go to school. I know what it costs to send kids to school here.
It's nothing over there.
Oh, $300 and something for a semester. I mean, I didn't say nothing, but I thought, wow, how could I help these?
So a little bit of money could go a long way.
Yes, a very long way.
So you saw a lot of leverage.
I helped them go to school, and after 2 years, boom, the world's biggest earthquake hits, kills almost 10,000 people. I lose contact for 9 days. I finally get this Skype call that I thought was a scam because it was not their phones. And it was them at the hospital post under a blue tarp. It was raining. It was cold. There was nothing I could do. There was looting going on. Of course, China was on its way, bringing food and stuff. India was on their way too, with fresh water and blankets and stuff. And of course, then, their airport was demolished, so they were getting it ready only for relief flights. So you started having U.S. and Germany and all the other countries, but you couldn't book a regular flight there. I connected with ASU. I think there were 3 at the time. There were stories, in the Rampage and all that too about, how they lost contact with their families, during this time. And so I was trying to, connect with the students here at ASU.
So this Terry Mikeska Foundation started as a disaster relief?
Yes. So what this started as is they had been wanting me to come and visit, and I kept thinking, it's such a long, long trip. But this earthquake happened, and I couldn't get there right away, but I kept saying, look, wow, all these aftershocks, like 170 of them, all the way to East Nepal. So long story short, all the focus was going on Kathmandu. But they finally, when the government was handing out vouchers, was able to get thousands and thousands of people on the buses. And, what you didn't see on real news is when they said, here, look, it just blew my mind. It was children, babies, grandmas, mom, dads, piled in bodies. They were just taking DNA tests, and they had to burn them. They hadn't had an earthquake since the 1930s this bad. And so the only thing they could do to stop the spread of disease is take DNA test, we'll deal with it later, and burn it. That's what you didn't see on the news. And when I saw that on their phone camera, and while they were all covering with rags the smell, I just said, wow, what could I do? What little could I do? But I can't do anything this second because all the agencies are going in. I could just put a little money and send it to through one of the agencies, as they all were helping. And but then I thought, okay, they want me to go there. So when they finally had a free voucher and went to the east side and got home, and Grandma and all them were safe, and yes, they had some damage there all the way to the east side, but a lot of those homes are just made out of just some rocks and mud and some
They can
tin.
rebuild them easy.
And they all help each other. That's what they said. We're not worried about it. But they were sending me pictures, and I said, why is everyone digging in the trash? I mean, you got all these pictures, even the children, and they said, well, Terry, it's not that they can't get some rice, but when their little homes collapse, it crushed the rice pot. I said, oh.
So they need rice pots.
Rice pots. So first thing that hit my head, I'm
Send
thinking,
some rice pots? Did
do
you get
y'all
on
have
Amazon?
rice pot factories there? Yes, we do. Are they still standing? I don't know, but we can get them in India too. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. This is what I'll do. I will promise you I will come there, but I want to come there and do something. I'm not coming just to visit, although I do want to come and visit, but I want to do a little of something. So I said, you go find a rice pot factory that is open, and you go see how much it would cost for at least 500, but probably 1,000 of those rice pots. And they just laughed. Terry, they're not going to believe us. They're not going to believe us. I said, well, look, you said everything is negotiable in that country. You can negotiate a lot. I said, take your dad or whatever if you need to call or go visit. But I said, from what you're telling me, don't tell them a man from Texas is coming, because they're probably not going to give you a discount.
Right.
So sure enough, I'm learning all this.
So let's fast forward. Did you get the rice pots?
I did. They got the rice pots.
How many did you get? 500 or
I
1,000?
started out with 500, but it ended up over 750.
Okay.
And they found a rice factory.
So one rice pot can feed an entire family of 5, 6, 7, 10.
Or 10, yes, because it just takes a handful of rice to make a big.
So basically, you helped about 7,500 to 10,000 people.
Yeah, a lot of people. And you can see it on my Terry Mikeska Foundation.org, going back to some of my older pictures of all the people in the villages lined up. And so that's what I did. I said, look, I don't know how to do this, but you got agencies there. What do you got there? How can you find me the poorest in need and all that? And yes, I mean, they still have an organization called JC's.
Right.
I worked with Red Cross. I worked with the Rotary.
So
I
you're
worked with
leveraging
the Lions
yourself.
Club. Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I need good leads and people that are really in need. And you go do this. And if you do this, I'm going to come there. And all I did was go online. I just went online and I was asking people for prayers. I said, I wanted y'all to know what I'm going to do. And I want to tell you the story about why I'm going to Nepal and why it's so meaningful.
And it all came down to the rice pots.
And within just 3 weeks, between my mailbox, people just under my doormat, stopping on my front porch with me and Butter reading paper and looking at the news online and everything, it was in 3 weeks, almost $18,000.
So you pretty much paid
And
for the
I
rice
wasn't
pots.
even asking.
How much was a rice pot?
Well, I could get a rice pot and the bag of rice for about $12 to $13.
Okay.
And I was just gonna do that myself because I had the miles.
So did you make it into a bigger operation? You found
Well, I
other needs?
did, because what happened is I had so many donors, and it kept. My first time I went, I did 19 projects. I went into all those different villages, and I called it Fill the Rice Pot. And then next thing you know, including you, next thing you know, you are calling.
Yeah.
Can we do a story on this? I said, oh my gosh, this is just getting out of hand.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't even asking for money, but people want to give. And the people that were giving us people that knew me my whole life. I played piano for their parties and their ranches. They bought at Holcomb-Blanton. I drove them in the limousine.
So they knew you had relationships.
So, people were just giving.
Yeah.
And so
the life of a philanthropist.
But
You know, if I did that, they'd all laugh at me.
Well,
what is Joe Hyde doing in Nepal with rice pots?
And of course, I have those that are saying, Terry, do a foundation. I said, I know what you're saying. I realize what you're saying.
You did the foundation.
I said, I don't want no office, no staff. I don't get paid.
The Eva Tucker thing.
Yeah, the Eva Tucker thing.
Yeah.
And they said, that it doesn't matter how you want to do it. Just do it. And I'm telling you, it'll grow and grow and grow. So I took the advice of my donors, and I did it. In fact, I have to even say one of my donors paid to have it set up. Said, Terry, this is all you need to do.
That's good.
And you just go on in your business.
So now the Terry Mikeska, as you sit on the cusp of retirement.
I can't sit still.
You can't sit still.
No,
you're running. You're running basically 2 foundations.
Yes, 2 foundations.
And you're still playing the piano.
So I just finished my last party Saturday.
You're not doing anything. I never see you out at American Airlines for marshaling planes in. But
huh?
I don't
no, but you know what gets me my free bags?
What's that?
Well, it's the American Airlines 1730 is now ready for passenger boarding through gate number 1. Please distinguish all your smoking material and have your boarding pass ready at the gate for the agent inspection. We want to thank you for flying American Eagle and have a pleasant day. I went to the GM and I said, look, if I can tell you the first boarding call, please, can I have these extra 2 bags? They're $350 a piece.
Yeah.
He said, if you can remember that, I had him laughing on the floor.
That's good.
So 7 years.
7 years.
If I had an extra 1 or 2, he said, we do the hunters that come here.
And you're doing this for basically bringing kids to Nepal.
Yeah,
I got
when
you.
I'm just asking for a couple of bags.
Yeah.
American has always been really good with me with my bridal shows and donations and giveaways and all that. And they in fact just lately they said, why don't you just come back to work here? You could just work part-time.
There you go. They want you to work.
No, really, they said.
So it could be.
I said, could I do the old boarding pack call again? No.
So it could be that you're going to come full circle by the time you're 65, and you'll be doing the airline thing. You'll be doing the Terry Mikeska Foundation, the Eva Tucker Foundation, and playing piano.
Still playing the piano. But you know what? It is tempting. Yeah. Sometimes I just sit there and think,
no, it's tempting.
How fun would that be to be at the airport again?
Yeah, it's fun to be at
Definitely the airport. Different from the way it was when I was there.
Yeah.
But everything has changed.
Right.
I know that I'd have to go back to the learning center. different system. You don't use tags like we used to. Everything is barcoding. So I would have, but I just thought, wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun.
It would be
anyway,
fun.
we're going long. I appreciate y'all for staying on for this long. But I thought that Terry's story was interesting, and particularly people on the podcast. You can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. Terry Mikeska, head of the Terry Mikeska Foundation, director in the Eva Tucker Foundation, Eva Tucker's right-hand person, I guess, and American Airlines gate attendant. Thank you, and pianist. Thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, Joe. You've helped a lot through everything that I've done. You're always doing stories and things, and it's all I hear about constantly.
Well, we try to be that mass appeal audience.
We are.
Back to you guys.